Hey guys, thank you for clicking onto this video. Please subscribe and share this video. I'm actually excited to make this video. One of the people that I find quite interesting is a man by the name of Oshay Duke Jackson. Very interesting. I heard his interview recently on Search for Uhuru with Dennis Temia, and I was just impressed. I've always been impressed by him, but I was actually quite impressed. And I just want to say, congratulations, Oshay. He graduated as a doctor in Poland, and when especially a black man achieves something, let's congratulate them. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, and I just want to say congratulations to you, Oshay. One of the things I heard from the interview that he did, he explained a little bit about just his background. So he was, obviously he's an American, African American. Started to get to do medicine. He left America to go and do it in Poland because, for some reason he says he couldn't get into America, but he did in Poland and is now fully qualified. And that's the other thing about the world. You always have options. Just from that, there's a lesson right there to all of us. There's always options. If you can't get something done in this place, sometimes it's about the place. You can move out and go do it somewhere else. There's always options. Okay? Now, Oshay used to be one of those people that were heavily involved in this FBA ADOS versus what they call HOTEP battles or Pan-Africanism wars on YouTube. And they'll be roasting Africans and all those things. And, that's expected, especially among black people, because we always do that, But when he was in Poland, he had an experience, and this is from his own words, from his own mouth. You can check the interview on Dennis Temia's channel. He had an experience where he realized that the people, the other group of people, they didn't care who they saw. They didn't say, oh, he's an African American, he's Zimbabwean, he's Nigerian. They didn't look at it that way. They just said, oh, it's black people. So living in Poland changed his perceptions of things. That's a lesson. That's a lesson number 2 that you have to learn from his life, that all of us need to learn. When we come together, the other group of people, they don't look at us as separating. Maybe when they hear us talk, but from a distance, we're just black. That experience actually forced him to start engaging with the African community a lot more. He started knowing about things. He started researching about Africa. You hear? That's another lesson. Do your research. That's the 3rd lesson. Do your research. Mingle with Africans. And if you are African, mingle with African Americans. That's the only way we are going to connect. Because when you mingle, you're able to talk. If you're just looking at the people from a distance, you make assumptions. And assumptions are always wrong. He didn't make assumptions. He started connecting. And once he started connecting, now he wanted to visit the continent. When he saw Dennis Temia in Africa, and I think they even spoke about it. It's like, because he was roasting Africans and just talking negatively about Africa. And he said, you talk so much negatively, but why don't you visit it? If you visited, he said, no, why don't you visit it? And then after that, he even met Watermeyer in the process. I don't know how it happened, but he met Watermeyer, and Watermeyer started sort of pushing him towards, visit Africa, do stuff, and there's all these opportunities that you can do. And one time, Waramaya was with Dr. Mumbi. They organized a meeting with him, and from that process, he looked at how these Africans were doing it. Dr. Mumbi, apparently she does her shows very professionally. Waramaya also has a team of people that are working for him. So when Oshay looked at this, he realized this is serious business. And when he arrived in East Africa, this is how Kenganda was born. Kenganda just means Kenya and Uganda, and they made that acronym because Kenganda, and he has started his channel. But once he landed on the continent and things started happening, his perceptions started changing. He started moving away from FBA, ADOS versus Hotep, Pan-Africanism, whatever, wars, and humiliating each other. He started to realize that's nothing but dumb. That's nothing but dumb. And here's the thing. One of the stories that really interested me was when he was in South Africa. He went to South Africa. He enjoyed his time in South Africa. But apparently he had this experience where a cop walks up to him and asks for his passport. And he didn't have a passport. And they say, okay, he showed them his driver's license. It's like, oh, you're not in California, mate. You're in South Africa. So they take him to the car, and the cops demanded money from him. So he gave them something like $80, which is wrong. But the thing I like about the way he looked at it, because imagine if something happened to someone like Nakmizi or someone like that, one of these guys who like these Hotep battles. We'll hear about it in a very, very negative way. This is the first time he was sharing this story. And he looked at it from a very interesting point of view. Like, it was, people complain even when they get charged $1 in Africa. They make it as if Africans are just after our money, are doing this. But here's a guy, you realized what happened to him was bad, but his response, just like to a lot of things, guys, when things happen to you, the way you respond to those things is what matters and is what changes lives. So what did he do? What happened was, so he gave them $80 and the police asked for his number. And then the police, like 2 days later, was trying to call him to go out and hang out with him. He's like, dude, you just robbed me. But the whole experience, he found it quite interesting. And he looks at it now with laughter. It was wrong, but his response is what's important. One of the things we can also learn from Oshay is what he said, and he's able to admit and say, I wasn't one of those roasting Africans and all this stuff and all that stuff. Not anymore, because Africa now employs me. Apparently when he was saying he was going to go to Uganda, his mom was even crying. See, they're going to, there's AIDS there, they're going to kidnap you, they're going to do all these things. But the thing is, he doesn't blame his mom for having those beliefs, because that's how our mindset has been set up. It's not just in America, even in Africa. We just know the negatives about African Americans. And the African Americans have been told the negatives about Africa. It's not just the African Americans; it's everyone in the West, because they receive the same news. They've been told just about the negatives about Africa. And this is why, just in Waramaya was involved in bringing Oshay Duke Jackson on his new journey. But there's something where he said, like, people still question him about his choice to do what he's doing in Africa. Say, oh, you're a doctor now, you want to go back, why don't you just and make my... He goes, you know what? Africa has employed me. That's another lesson, guys. Oshay didn't go there to look for a job. He went there, he created something, and he spent a lot of money trying to create that channel, trying to find people. Now, from what he's created, he's got access to connections. He's made a lot of connections to a point where the government wants to get involved with his show, with his channel, because he's promoting farming, agriculture, and everything that's happening in Uganda where people can make money. And the government loved that because they already have a project similar, but they didn't know how to put it out there. And here's the man putting it out there using social media, attracting more investors. And he's happy to be part of that. Now he's saying, Africa employs me. It's not, because everyone thinks he's going there to create jobs for these Africans. Like, no. Africa employs me. And guess what? Guess something else that he said. He's making more money than 99% of doctors. Not in Uganda, 99% of doctors worldwide. From the things he's doing. He has his own show, YouTube channel, by his name, and he also has this Kenganda and other things that he's doing within that Kenganda show, not just presenting shows, but all the connections that he's having in that country. Very soon they're going to move that into West Africa, hopefully sooner. I hope like then after that they can even move into Southern Africa. Forget about North Africa, they're all invaders up there. That's just my opinion. But if he can set up all these channels, something, I think Cedric Singleton, who was also from America, he set up what is known as Black Market, which is a record label. And he set it up in different parts of Africa. And he was also from the same area where Oshay and Dennis Temia are from. And these guys are making money. Now, what are the lessons? Why is this so important? The reason why I want you guys to know, I want you to think about this. Black people all over the world are poor. 100 years ago, Marcus Garvey said the same thing. 100 years later, we are still experiencing the same thing. One of the reasons why we are still poor is because we are so tunnel-visioned. The African Americans, you have to remember, guys, you live in the richest continent in the world. I mean, in the richest country in the world. It would be very hard for someone, where you live in that country, there's someone, the richest people live there. You know, there's a person worth $200 and something billion in that country. That's more. You can even say maybe that's more like half of Southern Africa, if you put the economies together. If you take South Africa out, maybe it's the rest of all of Southern Africa would just equate to $200 billion. But there's one person in that continent with that kind of money. So you live in the richest country in the world. So for you to find $1 would be much easier than for someone who lives in a country that has an economy of $10 billion. However, because the economy is older, there are more opportunities in countries that are coming up than there is in countries that are already developed. But we don't see this because we are tunnel visioned as black people in general. Americans only want to focus on Americans. That's why you have ADOS, you know. But the thing is, America is welcoming all these other people into that country. They're welcoming Asians. Because when you say America, America is white. Black people, you don't control the narrative of that country. You become part of the white community, which is not good. This is why you don't get a lot of things that you're supposed to get, because you've become part of the white community. You've integrated into that community. Most of these ADOS people are so negative about Africans. But then they lay the red carpet for the Asians. For the Asians, Hispanics, and everyone else. But for Africans, it's a problem. But here's the thing, and that's why I'm worried, is because we are so tunnel visioned. Back during the Berlin Conference, before the Berlin Conference, and the reason why the Berlin Conference even happened, is because Europeans started killing each other on the African soil, fighting for things. Because you know why? Because at that moment, in that time, they were tunnel visioned. Then one person who had a bigger picture said, guys, hang on, let's meet up and let's have a conversation. And then that's what they called the Berlin Conference. They met up and they realized, and that they said they had a conversation. They were not going there to roast each other like this ADOS, FBA, Hote, Pan-Africanism crap. They didn't do that. They said, guys, let's have a conversation. This continent is huge. There's something for all of us. So let's split it. Let's have a piece of it, all of us, and we can all benefit from it. How about that? That's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is we can all benefit from it. And guess what? They all saw the bigger picture. But when it comes to black people, we don't want to see the bigger picture. We want to still remain tunnel vision. That's when we have all these roasting and walks on these YouTube platforms, which is just dumb. Dumb. Because the bigger picture is right in front of us. That doesn't mean African Americans shouldn't fight for their reparations. Yes, they should. They deserve that. It doesn't mean when black people go to America, they should ignore everything African Americans have done. That's wrong. When you go there, the only reason you are going there, it's because of what African Americans have done for you to be able to go there. But just remember, whatever African Americans have done there is not just allowing Africans only. It's allowing Asians to go there. It's allowing Hispanics to go there because of what Frederick Douglass did to allow not just Africans, but everyone to come there. You forget that. But the only people you guys are targeting are Africans. That is not fair. And for you Africans, when you go to America, just remember that you are there because of what these people have gone through. You know, I know some of you guys like to have all these roast shows and all that stuff. To me, that's just dumb. That's dumb. Let's have a conversation. So at the end of this call, because I've been part of that too, that's why I stopped. I did this thing with Nakmizi. I rang up. I thought it was going to be me and him. He brings a point but I realized in that conversation, it was just all over the place. There's another person there, and it was more just like, oh, we've done this, you haven't done this. Even when you point out, they say, you know, this is what we have done, and this is what we can do together. They'll always find a negative thing, something negative, sometimes even just out of topic, to make everything look so negative about working together. But that's just not just African American. This is the black community. You go to a wedding, even just an African wedding. If a white person shows up, whether you from East Africa or West Africa, the white person will get red carpet treatment. But then, once they leave, Africans go back to fighting each other, showing off. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Because you know what? We are so tunnel visioned. We can't see the bigger picture. That's why someone like Oshay, I give credit to. And I'm going to encourage you, African Americans, and just black people in the diaspora, to listen to what this guy is saying and what he's doing. Because he gets it. He gets it. You know, people like Tariq Nasheed can say so much about just attacking Africans. But if someone like Tariq Nasheed can see the bigger picture, he was going to realize that it's Africa that actually can make things better for all of us. Pan-Africanism does not mean move to Africa, leave America. No, Oshay is still an African American. and he'll ride with African Americans. But at the same time, he's realized there's a link between us and the African Americans, and he wants to be that bridge. He's realized, he's seen the bigger picture. He has seen the bigger picture, and he wants to focus on that. Cedric Singleton has seen the bigger picture. Another couple that I think has seen the bigger picture is Natasha and Mark Blanton in South Africa. You know, Mark Blanton is still an African American at heart. He still appreciates what America has given him. But he just wants peace and to be among people that look like you. There's a difference. I made a video last time where I said being a minority means in any country just means you're not important. But when we were a majority, and I'll show you the benefits of being a majority. There's drama that's going on in Ethiopia. Hopefully they fix it, you know. And recently, the Zambian government, Zambia is a country in Africa, for those that don't know, decided to hire a private jet to go and get its people. There's only about 31 Zambian families living in Ethiopia, to go and get all of them out of Ethiopia. Now, I'll give you that's to help their people, because those people are part of the majority, they're not a minority. Now, let's flip the coin. Let's cross to America. What happened during Katrina? Even the government didn't provide the same of help to African Americans, and we can go back in every situation where the African Americans have needed help. They haven't gotten that sort of help. Even just sending a plane to take the African Americans who were stuck in Ghana during the COVID, that never happened at the beginning of the pandemic. But then at the same time, you were probably better off getting stuck in Ghana than going to America, where it was very rampant. But this is what I'm trying to say, guys. Oshay is one of those people that can create that bridge. And you guys need to listen to these people. What you're going to realize, stay away from these so-called wars and people like Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed, there's a lot of things that he can do within the African American community than just focusing on attacking Pan-Africanism and attacking Africans. Doesn't mean he hates Africans, but your mindset, your actions are speaking like you do. You know, people are coming to America because it's the richest continent in the world. You can stop Africans from coming there. You're gonna other people coming. Indians, you know, there's more Indian CEOs in the top 500 American companies than there is African Americans. You're not saying anything about that. Are these Indians even helping out African Americans? No. In my opinion, Indians are the most racist people in the world. But you say nothing about it. The Asians are getting money from the government, a little bit of hate, and they get money from the government. And you're saying nothing about it. The problem is, you are thinking there's some breadcrumbs falling from the table where these people are eating. And you're thinking the Africans are coming to take some of those breadcrumbs. That has been tunnel visioned. What we should be looking is, how do we have, these people are coming here, how do we connect with them? There should be some mindset with the Africans. How do we connect with our brothers in America? And let's create something. Don't ever think the Africans are going to come there to necessarily help you, because the mindset is they are coming to a place that's already developed, where there's always money. It's the richest continent in the world. Love it or hate it, it's the richest continent in the country in the world. If you go to Africa, the Africans have land, the Africans have this, the Africans, that's their capital. But you can have money. I even said in my last video, and then you can come together. Same thing Oshay Jackson did. Believe me, to start that Kanganda, he invested in a lot of money, all the equipment, training up the people, and just paying them. Before he started, I don't even think he's making like massive millions money from that show. Maybe the other things that he's involved in. But he's seen an opportunity. And that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because in this world, it's good to be the first. It's beneficial to be the first. What Africa can provide you with is that opportunity to be the first. Because when you be the first, it becomes quite hard for someone to beat you. When you buy up all the land, it will be very hard for someone to come and buy more land than you, because then they have to buy from you. Okay? This is what Africa is offering. It's something you missed out in America. It doesn't mean leave America. I'll give you an example. I spent $50,000 building a house in Zambia, in Livingstone. Airbnb. That Airbnb was giving me $100 until the pandemic things slowed down, but again things are picking up. $100 a day. $50,000. Now, that is me having options. In America, you might not be able to buy a house $50,000. You might maybe mortgage. You pay the deposit, and then you get a house. You do Airbnb. You pay your mortgage and all that stuff. But your returns might not be as big. But this is happening in Africa. Their returns are massive. We have to see the bigger picture. And when you see the bigger picture, you realize that being connected to Africa is the only way to get bigger. It's the only way to create a table, a chair at the table. I know some, because we are so tunnel visioned as black people, will be thinking, oh, Oprah is rich, LeBron is rich, but still, African Americans in America, they're poor. They're the poorest group of people. You can go about the spending power, but that's money being spent. If it was something like, oh, African Americans have $2 trillion in the stock market, that would be a complete different story. But if you just have a spending power, yeah, then what? That means you're just spending money. You don't own it. You're not letting money work for you. All you're doing is spend. What I'm trying to say here, guys, is this. Let's have a bigger picture. Let's forget about these people who are narrow-minded, and most of them are in their 50s, and they're talking about roasting. It's like the street. You see Biggie's video when he was younger, and is battling someone on the street. That is what some of them are almost 50 doing on YouTube and saying, oh, I'm going to roast you, and this is so weak, because they can't see the bigger picture. Don't be like them. They're dumb. Most of them are actually dumb. Smart people like Oshay, and you can see by how educated they are. And believe me, getting a degree from a university is not a sign that you're the smartest person or that you're smarter than everybody else. But it's a sign of commitment. Because you're going to spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, some people even 10 years studying to get what you end up getting at the end. And you are committed to it. That's a sign of commitment. And commitment to a person is more important. You might never even use the degree you get. But believe me, what it will teach you is to stay committed. If you have a plan, you stay committed to your plan. Guys, stay away from these Hotep, ADOS, FBA channels. They are poisoning your soul. They are poisoning your mind. They are stopping you from exploring your options. I'm in Australia at the moment, but I've invested everywhere because I realized there's options. If you look at my portfolio, stock portfolio, 75% of it is in American companies. Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft. I like Tesla to trade, but I try to stay away from Tesla because, the stock drops as much as it goes. It's a good, but that's discussion for other days. But what I'm trying to tell you is, I've invested heavily in Africa because I'm from Africa. I've also invested heavily in Australia. You guys You need to know America is not the only place where you can make it. You can even triple your money around the world. And one of the places you should be thinking of is Africa, because you're going to be a majority there. Forget about little experiences that you're going to face. You're going to face those experiences anywhere in the world. But let's find the way to connect, because the benefits are bigger when we connect. Oshay is a prime example of that. He's proud to say today that Africa has employed him. In my opinion, I even think that people that are visiting, I did that video I did before where people visit Africa and then they become African haters. You visited Africa with a wrong mindset. You know, something happened to Oshay in South Africa. If it was one of you guys, that's it. Then you become an African hater because, oh, the police robbed me. You know? And you have every reason to get upset about that. It's wrong. But you don't become an African hater because of that experience. You can experience that experience anywhere in the world. In Bali, the police will sell you drugs and then arrest you. And you know those people don't play. You face a death penalty in Bali. For the drugs that the police sold you, they set you up. You go there, you have a bad experience, all of a sudden you hate Africa. That's the wrong way to do things. And I'm not saying everyone will be convinced by this, but I tell you what, there's a lot of people who are becoming Pan-Africanism. I make some videos, and sometimes even just with my chat, with some of these ADOS and stuff, like people read what I write, and I've had so many people write back to me and appreciate the input I've put in, and because it's changed their mind. Because guess what? This makes sense when you see the bigger picture. There's no bigger picture in being hating on other black people, belonging to some group. We can have all these different groups, but we have to see the bigger picture. It's good to be EDOS, it's good to be FB, it's good to be Pan-Africanist, but these are all branches of one tree, which is black. And that's how we should see things. People like, I know he's changing people. He's definitely changing people, Oshay Jackson. And the funny thing is he's even a character himself. He's a funny dude. So people get along with him. Or people watch him more than they'll probably watch someone who's not like him. I even see, what's his name? There's a guy in America who's his friend. I did something on Oshay. I talked about him and this, but I heard him in that interview where he came in and said, and he supported what Oshay is doing. It's changing people's mindset, because you know what? Pan-Africanism makes sense. It's not based on hate. It's not based on because we don't want to share the breadcrumbs with you. It's not based on that. It's based on abundance. It's based on abundance. And when we realize this, there are some people where we're going to contribute more financially to help the other group. That's how things work. I'll look at Australia as a continent. Today, Australia could be divided into countries. Western Australia, where I am, is bigger than Europe, like Western Europe. It's bigger. Countries can fit in just in WA alone. But one thing I've realized in Australia, where they do very well, there are some territories or states that make a lot more money, like the state I'm in, which is Western Australia. It's the mining capital of Australia. It brings in a lot of money, GST and whatever. But what they've done, there's another state of Australia, which is known as Tasmania. If you look up Australia, there's like a little, just at the drop there before New Zealand. The drop, you see, that's called Tasmania. It doesn't make as much money. And guess what they do? They collect money from these states and territories that are making money and help Tasmania so that it's all balanced. When we realize that FBA, ADOS, Pan-Africanism, and all these little, instead of just arguing, realize that we are branches of one tree. And if that tree is not receiving enough water, we transfer some of our water to that tree so that to that branch so that the whole tree looks nice and green, strong. And that's the black community we should all desire. And I say big ups to Oshay for what you're doing in Africa and also in America. I hope people like Tariq Nasheed can see the bigger picture. I hope all these people on all these hot tape and the Nakmizis of this world and all these other guys who want to roast each other, let's stop all this roasting. Let's have a conversation. Let's stop the roasting of each other. It's dumb. Let's have a conversation. And at the end of that conversation, let's go, you know what? You've enriched me in a lot of things. I've enriched you in a lot of things. How do we move forward? How do we create a better link? Because you have to remember, it was the Italians that came to America that started helping out Italy. It was the Irish. Remember, the Irish were the first group of people to where they built ghettos for them. The Irish that came to America that started helping out Ireland. There's a guy that made a lot of money in America, billions of dollars, that went and built universities in Ireland. You know, the Germans made a lot of money to send back to America, to Germany. You know, all these other people are doing it. They are connected. They are more connected than you know, guys. Why can't we be the same? Because we've seen the result of what it means, of what happens when you are connected. Guys, I just want to say thank you for watching my videos. And please subscribe and share this video. Thank you. Goodbye.